All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're feeling good. Go ahead and share the link. I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke, the author of Girl, You Cute. And this is our movement here. I believe that we are moving in a space of understanding that we are speaking our power now, and the opportunity is here. This is your opportunity to go ahead and realize that your voice is your power and you can speak with power. If you're here for the very first time, welcome in. Welcome in. And this call is definitely for you. If you have stumbled upon us here today, this call is for you. We're definitely here on Zoom every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are moving through this space. And you know what? I decided that I was going to come live and talk about what I do best. And what I do best is the movement that I created, and it's called Speak Your Power Now. And along with my book, I have created a platform that not only works with you, but it gets you to a space of understanding your voice, right? Understanding what we do and what we have been moving into. So I usually start with the Speak Your Power Now declaration. It's right here in the front of the book. So I want you to repeat silently to yourself after me. Today I reclaim my power of purpose. Today I declare that I have unshakable faith and confidence in my uniqueness. Today I declare that I will not live in fear, but with power, love, and a sound mind. Today I declare that I always communicate with words to
To
empower
empower
myself.
myself and others.
Today, I declare to always honor myself by living in the present and living powerfully in each moment. Amen and Ashe. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope that you were saying that with me and moving that with me because today's call is going to be powerful. I'm going to talk about a topic that many of you may not know that you may do. And a lot of us don't realize that our voice is a tool, an instrument that's a gift to us. But a lot of us have went into different ways of communication. And today I'm going to talk about avoidance. Today, that is the topic for today. The moments you may avoid, the moments that you probably have not noticed that you avoid. Avoidance isn't a character flaw. Let me just say that. Avoidance is something that we probably was taught to protect ourselves, right? And in this conversation, talking about avoidance, I'm not talking about the kind of the obvious kind, right? But the avoidance of how not to procrastinate, not to ghost, stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the conversations that you keep postponing. I'm talking about the emails that you may write over and over and over again before you send them. I'm talking about the type of avoidance that keep you out from creating boundaries. Now, when you're often looking at avoidance, those moments, right? When your system needs your attention. Now, what do I mean by assistance? If you've been your system, if you've been with me sometime, you know that as a psychotherapist, I talk a lot about your nervous system. And I want to talk about what really is avoidance. What really avoidance is. I want you to know that avoidance is not you being lazy, it's not being weak, it's not none of that. But it's about your system, your nervous system keeping you safe. Because what happens when you avoid something, it's saying to you, oh my goodness, I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm not safe. This is what your nervous system is saying to you. And before you even had language for boundaries, before you even learned about emotional intelligence, because a lot of us talk about this a lot about emotional intelligence now that we have language for it, possibly, our bodies learned how to survive. So when you avoid, your systems is not failing, it's protecting you. The problem isn't avoidance. The problem is that we never learned how to notice it without judging ourselves. How difficult it is. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. Sometimes we jump right into it like, why am I like this? Oh my goodness, I can't get over this. You start really being hard on yourself, especially as women as of color here. I'm talking to you also. You got signals in our head that if we talk up, we need to avoid conversations because we need to survive. And for most people, and just like we were talking about, they never even notice that they're avoiding. We're trained to focus on the outcomes. I know I was very outcome driven, not aware that certain things that I did not speak up about, did not say the right thing, or maybe I'm not going to be confident enough. It's not about that. It's what happens to your body when you went quiet. I want you to recognize that. What happens, what shows up when you hesitate? What emotions did you skip over? See, avoidance usually shows up before the words do. If you think about it, avoidance is going to show up. So think about it. And it shows up in our body. Maybe your shoulders tighten, your breath gets shallow, your mind is racing, things like that. You don't fix avoidance, but you yourself to speak. Now, I want you to notice speaking. And how do you speak? Because this platform is all about speaking your power now. However, noticing what made speaking feel unsafe for you in the first place. I want you to look at that. I want you to look at what made you speaking up in the first place made it unsafe for you. And part of your story underneath that became avoidance. Every time every time you avoid it, I want you to look at something because those moments carries a story behind it. Not a fact, but a story. If I speak up, I may be rejected. If I speak up, there may be conflict. If I speak up, it might be difficult. If I speak up, I may mess up. If I speak up, it's not going to be worth it if I speak up. So most of us don't realize that these stories that we're telling us that's running in the background of our head, they're running our lives. So a lot of these stories, we're on automatic. We're on automatic to shut down. We're on automatic to unchallenge. We're on automatic. And then our nervous system is going to repeat that and it's going to protect you. So now that you know that avoidance is not a choice, it's a reflex. So if you're going to notice when you avoid this week, I want you to teach you how to observe before you are saying anything. Observe your actions. Did I avoid? Before you change how you speak, okay? Before you plan to say anything, you need to notice the story that's already rolling inside your head. This is why the Girl You Cute book, it's all about a memoirs of my life, some things, but it's going to help you inside of you. How am I stopping myself from communicating? Because you cannot, let me tell you something, because you can't not out communicate a story that you have not examined. I'm going to say that again. You cannot out communicate a story that you have not examined. What does that mean? It means the story that rolls around in your head, the story that gets you to a point that now that makes you stop. That's why at the end of the year, people usually run to a vision board, they do new goals, they have new habits, they have all these declarations, right? But the real question is, now was that in February when I'm doing this call. Now I want you to ask yourself this question. What are you avoiding? carrying into this year? When you made up that vision board, in order to get to certain things on those goals, I want you to ask yourself, did I avoid, or what am I avoiding? What am I carrying in to the next year, the next day that you probably hadn't noticed? And you've been on repeat. Avoidance just doesn't disappear with the calendar year. It follows awareness or lack of it. So this year, I want you to look at yourself, and I want you to begin to look at something that you don't have to fix anything. You're not rehearsing anything. There's no scripts you have to learn. I want you to look at what stories you may be following. What is it that you're doing in this moment that no longer serves you? Now, let me speak to my women of color, because when many of us as women of color, avoidance isn't just a personal thing. We have inherited it, and it's been reinforced. You're not avoiding because you have the lack of confidence, like I said before, or you're too emotional, those things like that. Sometimes the avoidance comes from history, shame, right? It comes with a lot of shame around it. Where to place it, right? Over explaining. And it has layers of it. So when you understand how to pause in the moment, and I'm really talking to the women that may be carrying more than their fair share. And they found that talking up comes with consequences. And for many women of color, avoidance isn't just about discomfort, it became a safety net. So your body learned very early on, if you speak up, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you respect. It's going to cost you opportunities, protection. It's going to cost you your dignity sometimes, as I'm speaking here, as our ancestors have came before us. So your system, your nervous system hesitates. And oftentimes we don't speak up. Or if we do speak up, we over explaining. We go quiet. That's not weakness. That's your body in history talking. We weren't taught to notice our emotions. We were taught to manage your reactions in the room. Read the room for survival power. So growing up, as you begin to move it throughout this life, your body needs to be regulated. So in this moment, as I am going to bring this to a close, I want to talk about someone that I think that did not avoid any topics, but she leaned into them. I want you to realize that your voice, you may have heard me talk about Fannie Lou Hamer before, but this is where our ancestral intelligence could come in that you don't know that you have. And the work is a shame. It's the work that you need to notice to teach your body that you're not in danger. And you got to realize that avoidance shows up right when it matters. So pay attention to this, because avoidance will show up when you're right at the brink of something. So this is where you got to be in the space of understanding that I'm no longer going to avoid anymore. There's not the right answer. It's just you moving in to your nervous system. Before you speak, I want you to shift and offer. I want to offer this to you today. That the power is in your voice, but it's also the power is if you understanding what have I been what have I been avoiding? What have I been avoiding? And this is where you get to understand and tap into our ancestors. Now today, I want to talk about Ida B. Wells. It's for a little bit. My little plug in here for little Black History Month. Ida B. Wells. She was a journalist, she was an educator. She was one of our earliest civil rights leaders in this country of the United States. But what matters is what I noticed in the moment when it really mattered, she did not avoid. Now, she grew up in a time in the late 1800s where lynching was normalized. People whispered around. They justified those heinous acts. They avoided it directly and naming it because it was dangerous. But Ida B. Wells could have stayed quiet. She could have softened her language a little bit. She could have chosen safety. Instead, she noticed moments that she had to demand attention. She leaned in after her three closest friends were lynched. Ida B. Wells did not respond in panic or in rage. She responded with strategy. She had emotional literacy. That's the one thing I talk about as well. She got control over her emotions. She got control over herself. She investigated. She gathered the facts. She wrote clearly, unapologetically. And she exposed the lies that have been told unjustly. Because that's what her gift was. She tapped into her gift that we all have. Yes, she was threatened, but she decided that her printing press was going to be in play. And they even destroyed it. They destroyed a printing press at one time. Her life was put at risk each and every time she opened her mouth, but she kept speaking. She knew what she had to say mattered. And these many years and centuries later, I'm standing here talking about Ida B. Wells. And she didn't talk from an impulsive place. She did not speak from an emotional overload or overflow. She regulated her body before she even realized what regulation was. She understood communication is about reacting, it's about naming precisely with the power of non avoidance. And this time in your life, I want you to look, women. I want you to look, ladies. I want you to look deeply of what your ancestors have taught you. And today specifically is Ida B. Wells. That moment, that what you can take away is that that was a dangerous time that she was in. Women of color, avoidance has often been the framework of what they may call as that's wisdom. And sometimes women like Ida B. Wells showed us that the moments that silence comes up and you begin to protect yourself, you can erase some things of your gifts that you're supposed to lean into. So this is why I created Speak Your Power Now. And the voice recovery is Ida B. Wells, the language that she gave it. I'm just saying, get control over your nervous system. You're regulating. She did not let her trauma response happen. She didn't talk about trauma response, but her body knew to pause, observe, and when to speak. She didn't avoid the discomfort that's going to come. Do you know what? Discomfort is going to happen. It's going to happen. You know why? Because you're doing something different. So today, before you go, I want you to notice the moment. I want you to notice your body. I want you to notice the story that's playing in the back of your head. That's not fear, that's power. And Ida B. Well reminds us that avoidance delays the truth. So I want you to begin to say to yourself, What history am I leaning in to shift and change? Why am I moving with avoidance? Lean in to what legacy teaches us. How do we move in to moving powerfully in our day? This is important for you to realize that your voice matters and you can practice this week those conversations, those boundaries, those things that I may be avoiding and continue to lean into speaking your power now. Well, I hope that this helped you today. And I'm on, for those who are watching me in other spaces, places, we're here on Zoom, and I want you to go ahead and open up your mic. If you have anything you would like to share today, this is your time, this is your hour to go ahead and do that. I hope you enjoyed today. Anybody would like to say anything, you can open up your mic now. All
Dr.
right.
Good, good
Good,
morning.
good morning, Sophia.
Good morning. Uh, it was very impactful. I think there's a lot of times, you have your, like you said, you have your own story, and sometimes you just don't feel like you're good enough.
Mm,
So, I mean, or you are used to an environment where people are constantly second guessing you, whether you be at home, whether it be your workspace. So, even if you're correct, you think you're wrong because there's always someone picking at what you're going to say or what you think, or the anxiety of what if they don't believe me or what they don't hear me. So, I think this was very powerful and inspiring.
good. I'm glad. And this is where you get to realize and look at yourself that at times, how can I say this? Don't avoid it, but take a breath and say, how can I say this? Tap into the Ida B. Wells, tap into the Fannie Lou Hamer's, tap into that person that you can begin to draw that strength from. How, when back in those days when lynching was normalized, how did she gather the strength to actually speak in the moment? And that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, how did she not avoid not saying anything? How did she avoid that? And it's important for us to really look at that. Perfect, perfect. Anyone else?
Dr. Cheryl, this is Denise Shin. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I just want to say thank you so much for this. This was extremely insightful for me. You
Mm,
said several things because I'm in the background. I wasn't able to write it down, but believe me, I'm going to listen to the replay. But anyway, one of the things that really that I can really speak to when you talked about the nervous system and regulating that, because I know that at times, and I even experienced this last week, where I just started feeling very overwhelmed. So then everything was out of control.
mm,
Everything just actually just went kind of haywire, and even up until yesterday. And so, when you said about that, you have to stop and really pay attention to that. That's what I had to do this morning. I literally just had to stop because, see, by me not paying attention to it, it was just escalating. And so, thank you so much for that because, and now when I did do that, so let me complete this. When I did do that, and what I did was I just sat very quiet. I had one of those quiet mind meditative moments. I began to feel more grounded, and I
mm,
did. But what I am going to do, what you have opened my eyes to do, is to be more aware of when I avoid, because that's something that I have not done. It's just like on automatic. I avoid, I just, keep it moving. But I think something you said earlier about the story, you can't, the story will continue, until I observe it and be with it. I mean, not live with it, but be with it and address it, to move forward, to be healed, to move forward, and to observe why do I have this response? And, I'm in this situation. Why do I have this automatic response? So I just want to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much um, for your words of insight and your words of wisdom. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's something that she said there. I just want to just to talk a little bit about. I think that avoidance is something is things that we kind of do. So I want you to also notice the story that's going on in the back of your head, but then also we start doing things and feel like that we're accomplishing something. So when avoidance does happen, some people start cleaning their house. When avoidance starts happening, we start getting really busy. We may start scrolling on the phone. We may start, going to do something else. We may say, oh, well, now I got to go take a walk. Whatever it is, we start doing something to replace it. So sometimes it's so subtle that we avoid things and we have because we have normalized avoiding it. So, or I'll get to it later and we never go back to it. So sometimes our gifts and our talents, and we never really actualize what we're supposed to do in the world because we're so busy avoiding and we have normalized avoiding. We have normalized the whole situation when we do this. So, in understanding what that looks like, is I'm not going to avoid it anymore, but I'm going to notice that there's certain things in my life that I need to really look at. And I need to draw from, if I don't even have the energy, you draw from someone else that has made it through. And you say, I like where she is. Let me draw from her strength. Let me draw from the Oprah Winfrey's. Let me draw from the Ida B. Wells. Let me draw from the Fannie Lou Hamers. Let me draw from these people because they have come before us and some have gone and passed on, but their works still live on. And I can draw from them and be able to be in this space when I am now avoiding. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's amazing. Anyone else that would like to share anything?
Good morning, Dr. Cheryl. This is Judy Hard. God
Good
bless you. Good to see
morning.
you.
Good to see
I
you.
have the privilege and opportunity now at looking back of a lifetime. I remember thinking to myself, better safe than sorry.
Ooh,
I wasn't aware that that was what that I was already triggered, and my response to my trigger was better safe than sorry, and went on and completed whatever or did whatever was required in the moment. But that that was a common theme, and I thought I was shy about speaking, not realizing that I was afraid to speak. It had nothing to do with shyness. So the awareness is the key part, and as you said, you said so much, there's so much to reflect on that, my God, I could go on and on about several parts, several places. But the main theme for me was now being aware of looking back at every time I thought to myself, better safe than sorry,
mm,
and just do what I needed to do.
wow. That is powerful. How many of us sit with better safe than sorry? That was Judy's word. I want you today, she just brought up something. There's something that we all do. There's something that mine was, what I would avoid it is, it's Cheryl, you know you're not smart enough for that. You don't think that you're smart enough. You're not smart enough for that. So
Hmm.
that's mine because that's my story. And think about it, better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry. Judy has a story about that. Mine is I was laughed at when I would be able to. I struggled with reading. I had dyslexia. So those things right there, those are specific stories that lands with us. This is why I wrote the book like this, because it has stories filtered into it that you can relate to. It may not be the exact story, but it's the story that gets us to the space where we need to be in life. What story is holding you back? What story is keeping you in avoidance? What story are you determining now that I'm going to take control over that story? And I'm not going to live in avoidance anymore. But I'm going to take that story and when it's triggering me, to avoid, because that's all it is. It's triggering you to avoid it. And then you start doing busy work. Then you start doing this over here. Then you start doing something that has nothing to do with nothing. And then now you're in a space where you're looking back at your life 20 years later and say, wow, wow, and wow. But let me tell you, it doesn't matter how old you are right now. It doesn't matter where you are. You can use your voice. If you have an instrument of a voice, I show people how to recover it, how to move with it, and how to be with it. This is where you can find and speak your power now. So for those who are watching me, I want you to share the link out for next Tuesday. If not, you can go ahead to the Speak Your Power Now YouTube page and watch all my videos. I have a lot of videos there that are to help you, to begin to aid you. Especially, I think I have a passion. I know I have a passion and a mandate on me for women of color, that we can begin to move with our voice, because I know our voice is unique to the planet. Our story is unique to the planet. And now we can begin to move powerfully into today. So I want to thank you all for being here, being powerful, working, and moving into the space of leaning into your voice. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke. And remember, your voice matters. Your voice matters. Speak your power now. Have a great one.
You are enough. Your voice is divine. Now